Let's make a patterned color wheel. Today we're going to learn about the primary and the secondary colors. We're going to use the elements of art, color, line, and shape in this project. So what is a color wheel? What are the primary colors? What are the secondary colors? Well, the color wheel is a very important tool that artists use to understand how colors relate to each other. Colors are placed in triangle shapes in a specific order, very similar to Roy G. Biv or rainbow order. In the color wheel, we have primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, which can make all the other colors if they are mixed together. We also have secondary colors, orange, green, and violet, which are made by mixing two of the primary colors together. So here is a color wheel, and here are how you can make the secondary colors. So blue plus yellow equals green. Yellow plus red equals orange. And red and blue equal violet. So we are going to use only the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, to mix the secondary colors, orange, green, and violet. You can print the color wheel template to work on. Use the pattern example page for ideas to draw shapes and lines inside the sections of your color wheel. So for your supplies, you will need this color wheel template printed, or just a blank piece of paper is fine too, a pencil, a black marker, and the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, in either crayons, colored pencils, paint, or oil pastels. For pattern ideas, you can use this pattern example sheet, which is linked in Google Classroom, or just think of patterns on your own. Remember, a pattern is a repeated shape or line. So let's review our directions first. You can print the color wheel template or follow along with my video to learn how to make your own on a blank piece of paper. Then we'll draw patterns inside the sections with a black marker, and then we'll color in our color wheels in order using only the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. We'll use the primary colors to mix the secondary colors. Now let's talk about the materials you can use to add color today. So our goal is to make the secondary colors out of the primary colors. Remember, the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. So I have crayons here, and that would be a great material to use. Another material that will work is colored pencil. Another option that you may have at home is paint. So you could use the primary colors in your paint, red, yellow, and blue. Another option might be oil pastel. One material that doesn't work that well for this is markers. Because markers are ink, when they go on, you can't blend them. And our goal with this is to mix or blend the secondary colors. And if markers are the only thing you have, no worries. You can skip the blending step and just color in with the secondary colors. So maybe you have purple, orange, and green markers. Great, then just use those in the sections on the color wheel instead. So what I mean by blending is you're going to take the lightest color of the primary colors, which if you said is yellow, then you're right. Yellow is the lightest color. Then we have red, and then blue would be our darkest color. So you're gonna take yellow first, the lightest color, color with it first, or paint with it first. Then you're going to take the next color that you're going to mix. So red and yellow make orange. So I am layering red on top of yellow, and I should get an orange color. And I should keep blending them if I don't see the color, and I should see an orange come out there. Let's try a colored pencil. So let's try to make green. I'm going to take my lightest color first, which is yellow. Then I'm going to take blue and I'm going to color over the yellow. I should see a green come out there. Let's try an oil pastel. Let's try and make a violet or a purple. So the lightest color out of red and blue is red. So I'm going to use red first. Then I'm going to layer it with blue, and I should see a violet or a purple shade come out. The cool thing about oil pastel is that you can actually blend it more with your finger. Paint would be a fabulous option to use for this project. Let's start with the lightest color. I'm going to try to make all of the secondary colors. So we'll take yellow. Now I'm going to try and make orange. I'm going to take a little bit of red. Maybe a little more yellow. And then I have an orange. Now let's try to make a green. So yellow. Next, let's add blue. There's green. Now let's try to make a violet. So I'm going to take the lightest of the two colors, which is red, first, and then blue. And I have a violet. So to start your color wheel, you can either print this page, which is linked in Google Classroom, or I will show you how to make your own color wheel setup on a regular piece of paper. So either way is fine. So here's how to make a color wheel out of a regular piece of paper if you can't print this paper. So to get started, let's fold our papers in half hamburger style. What does that mean? Well, you're going to look for the shorter side of your paper, match it up with the other short side, the opposite side from it. So I'm going to take one of the shorter sides, fold it over, match up the corners, and make a crease. So I'm pressing down. Then I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to draw a line with my pencil on the creased line that I folded. If you have a ruler, this would be a good time to get the ruler out because we're going to use it to make a straight line. If you don't have a ruler, the edge of something that is flat will also work, like a box, maybe a book, or even a piece of paper. Now I'm going to guess where the middle of this is. Middle is not up here, the middle is not down here. It's about right here. I'm just going to put a little dot big enough for me to see where I think the middle is. Next, I'm going to draw lines that come out. I'm going to end up making 6 sections for my color wheel. So it will end up looking something like this. So right now we have this line. We're going to draw 2 long diagonal lines, but I'm going to break that up into 4 shorter lines. I know that sounds like a lot of lines, but I'll make it a little bit simpler for you. So you can use about 2 or 3 fingers as a marking point. So I'll put 2 fingers from the corner of my paper. I'm going to put a little dashed line. Let's do that on all of the corners. And it doesn't have to be exact on each side. Now I'm going to take my ruler, or you can take whatever flat-edged object you have, or even just try and draw a straight line on your own. Then I'm going to line up my ruler with that little dashed mark I made where my fingers were. I'm going to draw a straight line to the edge of the paper. Now let's do this corner. Line up the ruler to the dot, to the little dashed line, and draw a straight line. Now let's do the other side. And last line. Make sure your ruler is lined up with the dot and the dashed line. Now it doesn't have to be exact, but the important thing is that you should have 6 sections for your 6 colors on the color wheel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, I'm going to take a black marker, I'm using a Sharpie, to outline or trace over these pencil lines. If you have a ruler, you can use your ruler for this step and make your outline very straight. Now that my sections are outlined, let's label where each color will go. You can do this with the materials that you're using for color. So we'll start with red. I'm just going to put a little red dot. Then next is orange. We make orange with red and yellow. So I'm just putting a little dot of each color there. Next is yellow. Then we have green, which is blue and yellow. After that, we have blue, and then violet, red plus blue. That way, when you're going to add color in a little bit, it gives you a guide for where to put each color. You could also write lightly with pencil the letter each color starts with. So R is for red, O is for orange, Y is for yellow, G is for green, B is for blue, and V is for violet. And then you can erase those letters later once you've added your patterns. So now I'm going to add patterns to each section in my color wheel. So each color will end up having a different pattern. You can use this sheet of pattern examples, which is linked in Google Classroom, or you can come up with your own. Remember that a pattern is a repeated shape or line. So what lines or shapes have you learned about recently that you can use in your color wheel? If you're using a regular sheet of paper, it's going to be the same idea. So you will draw patterns inside the sections of your color wheel. So I'm starting with red, and I decided to draw hearts inside of the red section. But you can use any line or shape that you know. Now I'm going to continue to draw patterns in each section, and I'm going to make each pattern different. So I'm not going to repeat a pattern. Patterns drawn in each section of my color wheel with a black marker. Now it's time to add color. So we're going to use the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, to make the secondary colors, orange, green, and violet. So remember that you can use a variety of materials for this. Crayons, colored pencils, paint, or oil pastels are all great options for mixing the secondary colors. I'm going to use different materials on my color wheel to show you how you would do that. So I'm going to start with red, and remember red is a primary color, so I only need to use red. Now my next color is orange, so I know yellow and red make orange. So I'm going to use paint here, and if you are painting, this is how you'll want to do it. Remember, you'll need some kind of water cup, a paintbrush, and your paints. So I'm going to start with the lightest color of the two, which is yellow. I'm going to get my brush wet, tap on my yellow paint, and swirl my brush around. Remember, never press your brush hard into the paint because we don't want to ruin its bristles. And then I'm going to paint with yellow. But my goal here is to turn this yellow into an orange. So I'm painting with my yellow. Before the yellow dries, I'm going to rinse off my brush and get a little bit of red. And I'm going to mix the red into the yellow. And if I feel like it got to be too red, I can add a little more yellow and a little bit more red. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of blending to make the colors change. The next color in my color. Now my next color is green, so yellow and blue equal green. I'm going to use crayons for this section, so this is how you could blend crayons together if you're using crayons. So I'm going to take the lightest of the two colors, which is yellow, and color with yellow first. Because I have these clouds here that are colored in black, I don't really need to color over them, so I'm just coloring around them with my yellow. And then I'm going to layer the blue on top to make a green. So I'm just coloring lightly with my blue crayon, and I'm seeing a green shade appear. The more you layer your colors, the more vibrant or the brighter your color will be. The next color in my color wheel is blue. I'm going to use paint for blue, but remember I don't need to mix anything into blue because it is a primary color. The last color in my color wheel is violet, and to make violet we need red and blue. I'm going to use colored pencils for this step, so if you're using colored pencils, this is how you would blend them. I'm going to start with red because it's the lighter out of the two colors. And I'm going to just color in the section with my red colored pencil. Then I will layer the blue on top. And if you feel like it's getting too blue, then you can put red back on top. And if it's getting too red, then you probably need a little bit more blue. Okay, so I am done with my color wheel because I have patterns in each section drawn with a black marker, and I've used the primary colors red, yellow, and blue to mix the secondary colors orange, green, and violet. One last step that you can do if you are able to print this paper is cut out your color wheel. So I'm going to cut it in a circle shape. When you're cutting, use your other hand to hold the piece of paper and turn it while you're cutting. And I'm opening and closing my scissors as I move along the edge of the circle. So now I have a super fun color wheel that is cut out into a circle shape. Have fun, artist!